I have put in there a fuse bus for the main battery feed.
Hi everybody, I'm James, and in today's video on my Spitfire I'm going to be getting into the wiring. So let's have a look at what we've got going on here. Okay, so I've got my tools all out ready to go. Here we have a clock to go in, second-hand one that I picked up online, and that will go in down there where the amp gauge is. That amp gauge isn't connected at the moment, but as to the other part of the job, everything else is connected. However, I haven't gone back and tidied up all the wiring. You can see a whole pile of it hanging out there. All needs to be tidied up underneath the dash, so on with that job. Okay, you can see here how I'm starting out, just wire by wire, creating something of a backbone for the loom, just using that first power wire that goes between the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge as a starting point, and I'll slowly cable tie everything back to that point, and from there we'll hopefully have a nice tidy loom that will be easy to manipulate in and out of the car when gauges and dashboard stuff needs working on. Okay, so I'm about halfway done now. I've got the fuel gauge, the temperature gauge, and the blower switch done. Oh, and the wiper switch and indicator light. Also done all the instrument lighting, although I've had to resort to using a chocolate block piece there because I'm still waiting on some bullet connectors to show up in the mail so I can fit a proper four-way splitter. Now I need to get on with doing the speedo and the ignition switch and the light switch, and also sort out some of the wiring for the main battery feeds. I want to try and put a fuse in there, and of course need a battery feed to fit the clock. So onwards we go again.
A little bit further with the dash inside, but I need to mainly get some more length in the cable, or at least find somewhere to put the fuse properly for the main battery power to the lights, because that doesn't have a fuse by design. So I'm operating here on the main feeds that all stem off a connection point on the starter solenoid. So you have the main battery feed here to the voltage regulator. That has been joined onto a chocolate block at some stage and is loose. Starter wire here also needs repair from some terrible previous repair. And on this point here we have the horn connecting through to the horn relay down there. That is also not in great condition. The insulation's a bit hard and probably all needs a bit of a redo. Just to give you an idea of how much effort sometimes this sort of thing's involved, so you don't go in blind. It's taken me about an hour or so just to clean off the rest of the loom insulation tape wrap, and to do that I've gotten as far as taking the regulator off the bulkhead. I've removed the coil, and I've also in here removed the passenger side tray, glove box tray thing, so I can get to where the loom goes through the bulkhead. Obviously if you're in a left-hand drive country that's going to be a little more awkward, but yeah, you can see there you've got wires going down into the darkness. That goes through the lower bulkhead opening. You've got the middle bulkhead opening, you can sort of just see some daylight there, and then the wires go up to the dashboard, and then you've got the electrical components up there, the fuse box, etc. So I've cleared all that out to give myself room so I can get to all the wires individually and sort out what I want to replace and what I want to fix or move, shorten one end and lengthen another, that sort of thing. Okay, so I made a bit of progress in the front here. Got two connectors there replaced, they're 9.5mm spade connectors. The one missing there is the feed for the lights. I've re-terminated the starter on the actual loom wire as opposed to a silly extension, and done the same for the main battery feed there. And that brown wire goes off back over there to the regulator. The one missing there is for the horn. It's sitting on the bench waiting to be re-terminated and redone. I might change the fuse canister in that as well, because it's got a hole blown in it from shorting out, I would say, at some point. And the other main thing here is I've pulled that whole headlight wire feed, because if we have a look at the wire, even though there's a dodgy joint there, but you can see there that this has had quite a bit of current go through it at some stage, and so I need to replace that whole wire, and I need to go shopping to buy some suitably gauged wire for that. I think that has happened at some stage in the past when this car has been in an accident and the headlights have shorted out. So to avoid similar damage in the future, unlike the design, I'm going to add a fuse in the light circuit, because that just seems like a bloody good idea to me. So it's about a week later now, and a shopping trip to the electronics store done, and I've decided to add in this fuse panel, since there's a lot of random fuses, and like the headlights don't have a fuse in them at all. So I've put this in here next to the battery by the horn relay, and that's fed from the distribution point on the voltage regulator there, that red wire going in there. So that would normally be the headlights. So now the headlights will be fed from a fuse here, as will the headlight flasher feed, which is separate from the main wiring for the headlights, and the horn relay, and also my clock will come off here as well. So that's a addition that will prevent a bit more sparking in the system. I may yet change things around and feed all the battery feed off this fuse, because currently, if we have a look there, there's by design 2 wires going into this end feed. So that's the incoming feed from the solenoid battery post, and it also is an outgoing feed to the ignition. That could also do with a fuse in it, but at this stage I'm focused on getting connected to things that are broke. So we'll get those all up and running and go from there. Okay, so I've cable tied the wires for now to tidy them up. I'll wrap them soon, and yeah, everything's all sorted, appropriate fuses in place. I've used a range of spade connectors. Wherever possible, I try to use those fully insulated ones, but you see there, the big one that's for the headlights, couldn't get fully insulated ones for cable that size, so I've just used a standard one with some heat shrink over the top. That does the job. And now the messy bit, where I actually get it all wrapped, and to do that, the trick is to disconnect everything and pull it back through into the cabin of the car, where you can wrap it all loose and then poke it back through the hole. this would be the part of the project where it looks a hell of a lot worse before it starts to look better. Everything's getting loomed up now, starting to make a bit more sense, but it looks like a complete pile of spaghetti still. And under here, started tidying up the engine bay loom, well, one of the engine bay looms, but I still have a few things I need to do to that before I poke it back through. There's all the cable loom tidied up. I've just left it with cable ties on to make it easy to get into in the future. That'll keep everything nice and safe. And now I can put the dashboard back together, and I've just got the clock to mount. And here we have the loom all in place, from being wrapped and properly threaded in, all safe and secure. After a bit of wrestling, the dash is all back together, the clock is all mounted, ticking away there, and I've checked all the dash lights, indicators, the fan, all that sort of thing. Everything's working. So I can now even start the car again. Just like that. So if you've watched this far through, thank you. And maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. If you have subscribed, thank you. And hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. So, until next time, have a good day.